Hello, everyone.
سلام به همگی.
Hello, hello. Welcome in. Great to see you all. Welcome back.
اه، همه میگه خوش آمدید میگم از اینکه دوباره با ما یک جای هستید.
All right, I'll give
ممنون.
everyone just a moment to settle in and then we'll get started.
اوکی. اه، ان قریب شروع میکنیم.
بله.
All right, welcome everybody, and welcome back to part two of our three-part series, Culturally Responsive Family Engagement for Afghan refugee families. We are so happy to see you here. We are joined again by our colleagues at Child Trends, Cassidy and Rosemary. And we are also thrilled to welcome our colleagues and education and resettlement experts from HISPA, Parveen, Bilingual Case Aide, and Parisa, Youth Education Case Manager. And I'm Megan Dale from the Center for Schools and Communities. And I just want to thank everyone for being here today. We are also honored to welcome two parents who are joining us today, Sakina and Elhem. Both Sakina and Elhem are here as parent experts to engage us in fellowship and impart their knowledge. Thank you both so much. Thank you, Elham and Sakina, for joining us today. And a special thank you to Karima Sadiq, who offers her interpretation services today. So as you may notice throughout today's session, there will be language interpretation occurring so that everyone can engage in today's session. So please be mindful of that as the session continues and when and if you ask questions of our parent guests today, and just give Karima, our interpreter, some time, a few moments to translate back and forth for you today. And again, as a quick piece of housekeeping, I will be sharing the session evaluation link at the end of today's session. If you are applying for Act 48, you'll first need to take the session evaluation and then you can apply for Act 48. So again, thank you all so much for being here. I think this is going to be a really, really rich discussion. I am so happy to have our friends from Child Trends and HISPA and both parents and our interpreter Karima here today. It's wonderful to have so many experts in the room and share their knowledge with all of you. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Rosemary and Cassidy, who are going to guide us in today's learning. Thank you all.
Great. Thank you so much, Megan. Hello, everyone. If you joined us last week, welcome back. If you're joining us for the first time, welcome to today's webinar, Engaging Afghan Refugee Families, Learning from the Experts. We are so excited you're able to join us today. We will begin by introducing our facilitators for today. So I'll begin by introducing myself. My name is Rosemary Rodriguez, and I am a Senior Research Analyst at Child Trends, a nonprofit organization with a mission to improve the wellness of children and families throughout the nation. Now I'll pass it on to Cassidy to introduce herself.
Thanks, Rosemary. Hi, everyone. My name is Cassidy Gross, and I'm a policy analyst on the education team at Child Trends. I'll now pass it on to our co-facilitators at HISPA to introduce themselves and tell us a little bit about their work.
Cassidy. Hi, everyone. My name is Parisa Kushnud. I am the Youth Education Program Manager at Highest, Pennsylvania. So we are a refugee resettlement agency based in Philadelphia. I will pass it to my colleague, Parveen.
Hello, everyone. I'm Parveen Hashemi, Youth Education Case Manager. I'm working with HISPA. Thank you, everyone.
So we are, again, a refugee resettlement agency. So we offer both social services and legal services to low-income, at-risk immigrants and refugees. We were originally founded and formed to help Jews who were fleeing Eastern Europe and Russia in the 1880s, and since then, many years ago, we now provide services, again, both legal and social services to immigrants and refugees of all backgrounds. And this is just a quick cheat sheet of who we serve and the definition. So you may all be familiar with them, but the main difference that I want to reiterate is that we are talking about Afghan refugees from Parveen and I's perspective. So that's who we serve. So refugees have, they've fled their country, and due to some form of persecution versus immigrants who have moved from one country to another. So Parveen and I in particular will be talking about our experience working with Afghan refugees.
Thank you so much, Parisa and Parvin. So today we are also joined by Sakina and Elham, two moms who will share with us a little bit about their experiences navigating the U.S. school system. And we're also joined by Karima, who will be interpreting for them. So first, I'd like to invite Karima to introduce herself. So Karima, if you could just come off mute and share with us your name, when you arrived to the United States, and how many children you have, and what grade they are in if they are in school.
Hi, my name is Karima. I'm from Afghanistan and I came to US on September 2021. And I have only one child. His name is Benjamin and he is 18 months old. He born here.
Thank you so much, Karima. So now I'd like to invite Sakina to introduce herself. Karima, can you please ask Sakina to share with us her name, when she arrived to the United States, how many children she has, and what grade they are in?
Okay. Sakina John Mishnawin.
بله. Hi everyone, I am Sakina Barbari. I am 34 years old. They are two children, grade 12 and 6. My eldest son Taha is in 5th grade, and my young son Masiha is studying in kindergarten. My family and I entered America on April 4, 2023. I am happy to be with you.
Thank you so much, Sakina. Now I'd like to invite Elham to introduce herself. Karima, can you please ask Elham to share her name, when she arrived?
Okay, thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Elham. I am 29 years old and I study midwifery. I have two children and son, his name is Muhammad Navid. Muhammad Navid is 4 years old, and a daughter, her name is Asra. Asra is 7 years old.
در کدام صنف هستن؟ صنف چند؟ طفلای طالما اینا رو هم بگوین.
My daughter is school. My son is preschool.
اوکی.
And
و
Thank you.
کدام تاریخ به امریکا آمدین؟
6 June, 6 June, 2023.
She arrived in US June 6, 2023.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Karima, Sakina, and Elham for introducing yourself. Now I'm going to pass it on to Cassidy to review a few housekeeping items before we get started with our session.
Thank you, yes, Mary. We can move to the next slide. Thank you. Here are our group commitments, which we discussed during our first session last time. I'll just go over them briefly now. Number one is to be present and participate as much as you're able to. We'll have a few opportunities for Q&A today, so please make sure to have your questions ready. And number two, please respect the diverse experiences and opinions of all group members. And just one more thing to note, please remember that this session is being recorded so that others can benefit from it in the future. So do keep that in mind when deciding what you'd like to share today. Next slide. Thank you. Okay, our session objective for today is to further our knowledge about equitable and culturally relevant strategies to engage Afghan refugee families. Next slide. And here is our agenda for today. So firstly, we'll have a short icebreaker, just like we did last week. Mary will then quickly recap the material that we covered during session one. We'll then hear from our panel of Afghan parents, Sakina and Elham, who will speak about their experiences navigating the US education system. We'll then hear from our colleagues at HISPA, who will share about their experiences working with Afghan refugee families, as well as specific advice and recommendations for supporting Afghan families. And we'll also have some time for Q&A, as I mentioned, after both panels. So please save any questions that you have for that time. And then we'll close out today's session after some short reflection. Next slide. Okay, and now we'd love it if you could all take a moment to pop into the chat, just sort of like we did last time. Take a moment just to share out your name, pronouns, role, your location, and most importantly, something you did in the last week to engage refugee families. So you could definitely think about some of those standards we talked about last time. And I'll just try to navigate screens. If I can get to the chat, here we go. Awesome. Okay, yeah, so feel free to just start popping in, saying hi, but just in the interest of time, I will keep us moving, and I will hand it over to Rosemary, who will go ahead and provide us with a review of session 1.
Thank you so much, Cassidy. So before we get started with today's sessions, we just really wanted to quickly review some of the things we discussed during session 1. For those of you who weren't able to join, or if you would simply like a refresher. As a reminder, the session was recorded, so you will be able to watch the full session if you'd like. So during last session, we highlighted why family engagement is critical to supporting student and family success. We learned that regardless of income or background, students whose families are engaged are more likely to excel academically, regularly attend school, have better social skills, and improve behavioral outcomes. We also learned that family engagement leads to positive benefits for parents and schools, including improved parent-teacher and teacher-student relationships, increased parental attendance and investment in school events, and increased levels of community support, teacher satisfaction, and retention. Particularly for refugees, we learned that family engagement is essential for a successful transition into the U.S. school system. So when you're working with Afghan refugee families, it is important to remember that the culture of U.S. schools and the expectations for family engagement may be new to some families. We also received an introduction for our colleagues at FACE to the Pennsylvania Family Engagement Birth Through College Career Community Ready Framework. We focused our session on the 6 learning community standards that you see on the screen and some supporting practices for each of the standards that you could implement with the families and students you work with. We also engaged in some great discussion in small groups about strategies and practices that are being used to engage refugee and immigrant families, such as international nights, cultural navigation programs, and newcomer academies. So I highly encourage you to watch the recording and review the materials when they are available. And now we're going to transition to our first panel, where we'll get a chance to hear from Sakina and Elham. We will begin by asking them some questions that we've drafted, and then ask some of your questions from the chat for a quick Q&A. So I am going to stop sharing my screen. And we are going to get started. I just need to here we go. Okay, so Karima, we're gonna get started with the questions. So my first question is going to go to Sakina. Sakina, what is your hope for your children's education in the US?
سکینه جان مگه آرزویت به خاطر تحصیلات اطفالت چی است؟
آرزوی من اینه که بدون هیچ دغدغه و استرسی فرزندان من بتونن ادامه تحصیل بدن و علاقه ها و استعدادشون برسن به اون چیزی که میخوام برسن و یه فرد مفیدی بشن. حالا خود بچه‌های من دوست دارن که معلم و دکتر بشن. منم آرزوم اینه که به آرزوهاشون برسن.
بسیار خوب. Her hope is for her children to be success and to do their education, their high education, and she wants their children to be like doctor and engineer without having any stress or any problem in the US.
Great, thank you. I'm going to ask the same question. This one is to Elham. Elham, what is your hope for your children's education in the US?
الهام جان میگه آرزویتان چی است که اطفالتان چه رقم تحصیل کنند در ایالات متحده آمریکا؟
من آرزو دارم که بتونم تحصیلات عالی رو پیش ببرم و به مقطع دکترا و اینا بتونم طفلام با آینده دکترای خوب بشن که بتونم به جامعه خدمت کنم.
She also wants her children to be like to complete their high education and be a doctor, a very good person in the society.
Thank you. My next question is to Sakina. Sakina, can you tell us how have schools involved you in your children's education?
سکینه جان میگه که چطور شما را در جریان گذاشتن در رابطه با می تحصیلات اطفالتان مکاتبشان.
مدرسه های اینجا خیلی خوب و عالی پیش رفتن با ما. وقتی که من ثبت نامشون کردم با اینکه زبان بلد نبودم سعی کردم ارتباط خیلی خوبی با ما داشته باشن. از طریق مترجم آنلاین اومدن پرسیدن مشخصات و مدارکی که میخواستیم و بعد شماره تلفن ما رو ایمیلمون رو گرفتن. از طریق شماره تلفن و ایمیل هم با ما در ارتباط هستن. همچنین یه برنامه به اسم کلاس دوجو بود. رابطه کلاس دوجو.
کلاس دوجو؟
بله.
اوکی.
رابطه بین فکر میکنم اینجا خیلی بهتره. رابطه بین والدین و مدرسه من راضیم. خدا شکر.
بسیار خوب. Sakina, she is very happy how the school involved her. She is saying even we don't know language, they provide us like online translation, and they like we don't know anything, but they involve us by texting, by email, and they have an application. She called it Plus to Joe. So they can connect with that with the teacher and with their school. So they are happy how they involve a family. And she's saying it's a very, very friendly relation between like parents and school.
Great, thank you. And I believe the app is a Class Dojo, which is something that the teachers use to communicate with the parents. Thank you. Same question for Elham. How have schools involved you in your children's education?
الهام جان میگه چطور مکاتب اطفالتان شما را یعنی داخل ساختن در رابطه با تحصیلات اطفالتان؟
درسته. اینکه خیلی خوبه خوب دارم. ما از طریق اپلیکیشن هم کلاس دوجو که هست همراه استادان در تماسیم. همین بهترین طریقه همینه که به تماسیم خودینا صحبت میکنیم. خیلی خوبه. خیلی هم از مکتب ناراضیه.
بسیار خوب. Ilham is also very happy with this all procedure their school have, and she was saying that Class to Joe is a very good application. We have always connection with the teacher.
Great, thank you so much. My next question is for Sakina. Sakina, in your opinion, how can schools involve Afghan families in their children's education?
سکینه جان میگه به نظر شما چطور میتونه مکاتب فامیلایشان یعنی فامیلای اطفال خود در جریان بانه در رابطه به تحصیلاتشان؟
تا الان من خیلی راضیم. یعنی اینا خیلی سعی کردن که همه جوره با ما ارتباط داشته باشن. یعنی حتی معلم‌ها با توجه به اینکه من زبان یاد ندارم هر تایمی از شبانه روزم به من گفتن که اگر سوالی دارید میتونید به من ایمیل بزنید یا پیام بدید. از طریق تلفن همین برنامه کلاس دوجو و حتی ایمیل ما با هم رابطه خیلی خوبی داریم. فکر میکنم همه تلاششون رو کردن و این خیلی عالیه.
شما فکر میکنین یعنی خودشان تمام تلاششان کرده و شما کمبود نمیبینین که برشان کدام راه دیگه پیشنهاد کنید؟
نه خیلی همه چی عالی پیش رفته تا الان.
بسیار خوب بسیار خوب. Sakina, she is very happy with how the school talk and we connected with their parents, and she was saying that the application Class Dojo it's very good, and even the teachers always told them to like if you have any question or any concern you can text her or email her. So she thinks this is everything for us.
Thank you. Second, my next question is for Elham. What would you like schools to know about working with Afghan refugee families?
Can you repeat that?
Yes. So for Elham, so in her opinion, what would you like schools to know about working with Afghan refugee families?
الهام جان از شما سوال کردن میگه که امی که امرای فامیلای مهاجرین افغان مکاتبش چی چیزا رو باید بفهمن در رابطه با این مهاجرین؟
مهاجرین عجیبه. در فکر کنم سوال از اینا چی بوده که شما چی دوست داریم فامیل افغان به مکاتب شریک بسازن. ما دوست داریم که وقتی که طفلا ما تازه میان زبان بلد نیم هر طفلی که از افغان هست زبان درست بلد نیه و امی کلاس اینا دایر کنم به طفلا ما که بتونن زبان صحیح تر یاد بگیرن. خواستم
زبان
ما همین.
زبان
بله از زبان.
درست. Ilham is saying that they can work on their language, and as they know that we are refugee coming like from other countries, so their main focus should be like on their English classes.
And can you clarify, is that English classes to the kids or English classes to the parents?
به والدینشان منظورتان بود یا به خود اطفال؟
برای اطفال.
Okay. For the kids.
The kids? All right. Thank you. Those are all the questions that we have drafted for them. We really wanted to give you all in the room an opportunity to ask questions of Sakina or Elham. So I am going to now open it up to attendees who are here, everyone who has joined us. If you could just please enter any questions you may have for Sakina or Elham in the chat, and we'll select a few to answer. Or if you feel comfortable, feel free to come off mute as well.
سکینه جان و الهام جان و همه کسایی که هستن میگن که هر سوال دارین در قسمت چت بانین و از بین سوالا یک سوال اینا جواب میتن.
درست.
بله.
از اینا سوال چیزی کنی؟ هدف از اینایی بود؟
میتونین یک سوال اگر در ذهنتان دارین میشه که از اینا سوال کنین. در این بخش چت نوشته کنین و از اونا هم سوالا رو کلش میبینه از بینشان جواب میده.
درست.
Okay. My first question, and Karima, this could be, and either of them can answer it. So the first question is from Rebecca in the chat. How can we, so educators, best support students during Ramadan?
For who? Rebecca?
That is coming from Rebecca. This is for either Sakina or Ilham, whoever wants to answer this question. The question is, how can we best support students during Ramadan?
سکینه جان و روبینا جان و این سوال را کسی که پرسان کرده بودن چطور میتونن در این بخش تحصیلاتشان در رمضان کمکشان کنن شاگردان؟ میگه چی نظریات دارین که اینا رو چه رقم کمک کنیم؟
چه رقم متوجه گپ شما نشدم؟
یعنی در این ماه رمضان میگه که چه رقم همراهتان در بخش تحصیلات کمک کنیم؟
همراه ما؟
همراه اطفال.
به خاطر اطفال؟
بله.
همینطور که درس میخونم و اینا خیلی عالیه. طفلا به رمضان هم میتونم همین درس و اینا رو پیش ببرم.
یعنی همین منوالی که از درست است؟
بله هیچ مشکل نیست.
Ilham is saying as it's right now they are okay with that, so it's good.
Are there any specific ways that they have received support during Ramadan that has been helpful?
کدام حمایت دیگه مشخص را میگه دارین پیشنهاد میکنین که ما یعنی همراه شاگردا کمک کنیم در جریان ماه رمضان؟
نه نمیفهمم نمیخواد سوال نداره.
No, she's fine with that and she doesn't have any questions.
Okay, could you ask the same question to Sakina if there's anything that she recommends to best support students during Ramadan?
سکینه جان از شما سوال میکنه که در ماه رمضان چی پیشنهاد دارین که ما همراه اطفال کمک کنیم یا یعنی بهتر بتونن که درسایشان رو بخونن در ماه رمضان؟ چی پیشنهادات دارین که بهتر شوه؟
پیشنهادی که ندارم ولی نظر خود من اینه که بچهای من خب هنوز به سنی نرسیدن که بخوان در مورد دین تصمیمی بگیرن. ما هیچ وقت بهشون فشار نیاوردم که حتما باید یه دینی رو انتخاب کنن. هر موقع خودشون بزرگ شدن خودشون هم راهشون رو میرن. من هیچ نظری ندارم ولی خب روال مدرسه هم خوبه، همه چی عالیه و دوست دارم که خب اینطور چیزا رو از خانواده یاد میگیره. بیشتر دوست دارم همون تو مدرسه همون تحصیلاتشون و فرهنگ پذیریشون و زودتر به اجتماع وارد شدنشون رو یاد بگیرن. دیگه انتظاری بیشتر از این از مدرسه نداره.
خب شما یعنی میگین که فعلا یعنی روزه و گپا نمیگیرن که یعنی کدام مشکل داشته باشن شما.
بله چون هنوز اصلا به سنی نرسیدن که من بخوام در مورد این چیزا باشون صحبت کنم.
Okay, okay. Sakina is very happy with all these rules in this school, and she is saying, "My child, they are very young, so they are not fasting. There is no any pressure on them, and she's happy how it's going now."
Okay. Another question is, let me see, for either Sakina or Ilham, do you find that the school system in the United States is very different from Afghanistan? And how did you learn about the way school works here?
سکینه جان و الهام جان از اردیتان پرسان میکنم میگه چطور دریافتین امی سیستم تعلیمی امریکا و سیستم تعلیمی افغانستان چه رقم فرقا داره با هم یا کدام مشکلاتی هست میشه درباره از یکم
مشکل که نمیتونه، نه مشکلی که نیست، فقط میتونم بگم که فرقی که بین اون مدرسه ها با اینجاست این که خب خیلی بهتره، تکنولوژی خیلی بازتر و بیشتره، بچه ها با تکنولوژی بیشتر آشنا میشن. هیچ زور و هیچ تنبیهی تو مدارس آمریکا نیست تا اونجایی که من مثلا درک کردم و فهمیدم. هیچ اجباری نیست و حتی اینکه بیشتر روی استعداد و اون توانایی ها و سلایق بچه ها رو خیلی بهش توجه میکنن و روش کار میکنن و خیلی بچه ها رو کمک میکنن به اون چیزی که علاقه دارن برسن. این نظر من بوده.
خب یعنی از سیستم اینجا خوشحال‌تر هستین نسبت به افغانستان؟
بله چون هیچ زور و تنبیهی نیست، هیچ اجباری نیست، یعنی بچه اونجوری نیست که از درس خسته بشه یا زده بشه.
آفرین بله واقعا. Sakina, she's very happy with the school rule and regulation of the school in United States. She doesn't have any problem, and she is saying that it's much better than our country, Afghanistan, because there is no force on a student, and they don't beat a student, and there is a very good technology, and they don't force kids to do anything like in Afghanistan. And the teacher, they're all working on the how to work on their ability and encourage their ability. So she's very happy.
Okay. Same question for Elham. How does she find that her school system is very different from Afghanistan, and how did she learn about the way school works here?
الهام جان از خودتان پرسان میکنه که چی فرقا داره از مکاتب افغانستان، مکاتب امریکا و چطور دریافتین؟
درسته. خب گفته ما شما زمین تا آسمون فرق اینه، 90 درس دادن از اینا خیلی بهتره، پیشرفته تره. اینجا طفلا میتونم خیلی زود درس یاد بگیرم، استادا خیلی مهربانه دارم، نوع برخورد با طفلا خیلی خوبه دیگه. از نظر من خیلی عالیه. مکتب آمریکا زیاد خوبه نسبت به افغانستان. افغانستان رسیدگی زیاد نمیشه و درسی هم خوب زیاد نبود، استادا خشن داشت، مهربان نبودم. خیلی خوب، عالی. آمریکا خیلی خوبه، استادا اینو هم میگی.
Okay. Same like Sakina, Ilham is also happy with the education in United States, as she was saying that the education is very good. They learn very fast because every day they have a new method to teach the children, and the teacher they're very kind. It's not like Afghanistan that the teacher will like forcing child to do anything. So they're not forcing on child. They're using method to how to learn their students. So she's very happy. And she was saying it's much difference between Afghanistan and United States.
Great, thank you. Next question for either Sakina or Elham. Have either of them received resources from their schools about learning English? And is that something that they would be interested in if they haven't?
For the family?
Yes, for the families. Yes.
سکینه جان، الهام جان از اردیتان سوال میکنه که آیا کدام راهی یا کدام از طریقه همین مکتب اطفالتان بر شما کدام ارگان را معرفی کرده که شما انگلیسی تان بهتر بکنین یا انگلیسی یاد بگیرین؟
بله،
برای من
مدرسه
خونه مکتب اصلا هیچ پیشنهاد نکردم و مثلا معلوماتم ندارم. نه.
Okay, so Ilham is saying that she didn't receive any resource from the school for her English, and she don't have any information about that. سکینه جان خودتان چطور؟
بله، به من پیشنهاد دادن که حتی میتونم با خود پسرم بعد از مدرسه کلاس زبان دارن، هفته 2 روز، روزای سه‌شنبه و پنجشنبه کلاس زبان دارن که هم میتونن بچه‌های من با هم بشینیم درس بخونیم. ولی خب متاسفانه من چون تایم نداشتم خودم شرکت نکردم، ولی پسرم میره هفته 2 روزه. یعنی محیطی رو به وجود آوردن که بتونن مثلا بچه‌ها با خانواده‌ها راحت درس بخونن، کلاس زبان داشته باشن و به ما پیشنهاد شده. بله.
Sakina is saying that yes, I received their school were suggesting Sakina to come after class and she can learn with their kids the English language on Tuesday and Thursday. So she was saying I'm a little bit busy, so she can join.
Okay. And I just wanted to follow up with Elham. I know Elham said that she didn't receive anything from the school, but is that something that she would have liked or would like to receive from their schools?
الهام جان، شما می چیزا خوش دارین میگه که یک سورسی بر شما پیدا شد که بیا بیاین انگلیسی بیاموزین؟
بله، علاقمندی دارم، ولی تایم شاید تایم اگه تایم خوب باشه که ما بتونم برم خیلی خوب، عالی، خوش دارم. ولی من کورس‌ها دیگه گرفتم، اشتراک میکنم به خاطر زبان. از طریق مکتب هیچ کورس من دریافت نکردم. علاقمندی دارم در صورتی که بازی طفل خورتر من یعنی جای باشه که او نگهداری کنم، من بتونم ادامه بدم زبان بخونم.
Yeah, Elham, she wants to learn more in English. So her only problem is her schedule. She has a baby. So she is saying that, yes, of course, I want to learn more English. If I could find someone to watch my baby so I can, or it's a good time to learn English, like during the day, if someone can take care of her baby.
Great, thank you. And last question. How can classroom teachers help students feel more comfortable in the classroom? For example, do they prefer to be paired with students of the same gender, or is there anything else to make Afghan students feel more comfortable in the classroom?
میگه چی فکر میکنین که چی کارهایی را باید استادا یا مکاتب انجام بده که اطفال شما راحت تر درس یاد بگیره؟ مثلا نظر به جندر گفتن که یعنی خانما با خانما درس بکنن، کلشان خانما باشن، یا مردا کلشان پسرا کلشان پسرا باشه. چه قسم میگه؟ شما چی فکر میکنین؟
مشکل نداره که خانما و آقایان خود هم باشن، هیچ مشکل نداره. هدف اینه که آدم یک چیز یاد بگیره.
So Ilham is saying that their aim is to learn something. It doesn't matter the gender or anything, so she's fine.
Okay. What I know Sakina was also coming off mute. I don't know if she wants to say something.
ساکینه جان، شما چیزی میگفتین؟
نظر منم همون نظر الهام، نه هیچ مشکلی نداره. فقط من چیزی که تجربه دارم اینجا رو بگم، نمیدونم حالا مربوط میشه یا نه، این که کاری که تو مدرسه ما انجام دادن و نمیدونم جای دیگه هم انجام میدن یا نه، اینه که وقتی که ما رفتیم برای ثبت نام کردن، مثلا یه مشاوره اومد با بچهای ما صحبت کرد، همه علایق و نظرات خود بچه‌ها رو پرسید از خودشون با مترجم، و معلم یه آگاهی دستش اومد که دستش بیاد این شاگرد چی نیاز داره، چی علاقه داره، و باعث شد که این بشناسه این دانش آموزشو که همون سلیقه و نظر و اخلاق اون بچه باهاش ادامه بده درس و کلاس. و این خیلی برای من جالب بود و فکر میکنم که شاید تو همه مدرسه ها باشه، ولی گفتم که اینجا هم این نظر رو بدم که فارغ از این که ما مثلا مهاجر بودیم یا زبان یاد نداشتیم، هیچ فرقی بین ما یا بقیه دانش آموزان نبود. حالا هیچ فرقی هم نمیکنه که با هم باشن یا جدا. مهم اینه که فضای آموزشی عالی و مناسبی دارن.
Sakina is also agree with the Elham, and she was saying that I was surprised when we went to their school, and the advisor came to them and asked from their children that which subject they like and which don't, and it was very surprising for her that they really like to know about their children, and she is happy with how they treat. So they can't say like she is Muslim or this thing. So she is happy that everyone they can see in one eye. So it's like equality. She is happy for that.
So she feels welcome and they're not like making them feel different.
Yes, yeah.
Great, excellent. Thank you so much, Sakina and Elham, for answering those questions. Now we are gonna go ahead and let me go ahead and share my screen.
تشکری کردن از دیتون وقت رسی که نظراتتان در جریان مانده و اشتراک گذاشتیم.
ما ممنونیم. خیلی ممنون.
تشکر از اونا.
Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and take a quick 2-minute break to set up simultaneous interpretation so that Sakina and Elham can be engaged for the remainder of the session. So these instructions are just for Karima, Sakina, and Elham. There's nothing anyone else needs to do unless you'd also like interpretation from English to Dari. So feel free to take this quick break to do whatever you need to do, and we will come back right at 3:40.
Okay.
All right. Okay, Karima, can you please let Sakina and Elham know that this is now when we are going to, in a few seconds, they're going to see the interpretation symbol come up so that they can change into the Dari channel. Okay, perfect. All right. So let's go ahead. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen again, and I'll stop sharing soon. Okay. Cassidy, it's all yours.
Thanks, Rosemary. Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'll give everyone just a few seconds to return. Hope everyone had a nice break, few minutes there. All right. Thank you again to our moms for that wonderful panel. That was super informative. And I'm really excited to turn the mic over to our colleagues, Parisa and Parveen at Highest PA. We're going to start with some questions that I have drafted. We've drafted ahead of time. And then similar to last time, we'll move into Q&A before handing the mic back to Highest PA to learn about their specific recommendations for working with and supporting Afghan student refugees and their families. Next slide, please. Or I guess, yeah, you can pull them down. Yes, very awesome. Thank you. Okay, so my first question is going to be for Parveen. So could you please describe the work that you do to support Afghan refugee families with their children's education?
Hi, everyone. Yes, of course. I'm so excited for this meeting. And yeah, about my work or job with Highest, I'm doing when the Afghan family comes new in US, we help them to enroll in school online, which is very good for them. They don't need to go to school or find, or us, maybe it takes time. We're doing this online for them. And after that, we help them for first day of school. And also there is some other helps like uniforms or another things. And also I'm working with parents, Afghan parents, that they could learn how they can adjust themselves in future when Highest is not with them. That in Afghan parent course, I would say there is 2 classes that we have. It's specific about the US education system. They could learn about the what is like how is education going on in US because it's totally different than their countries. And also there is ESL class one day per week. The moms or dads could learn how they can write, how they can read, or speaking or understanding when they gonna be in touch with in school. And also another class we have, it's about the culture. We have different topics for them that they could understand everything about the school, like how they can use parent portal, like how they can use or might be helpful for them if they use Philadelphia District School website, or there is like free library or other different topics that we have for them. Thank you.
Thank you, Parveen. It sounds like you guys are doing a lot of really important and essential work for refugee families. So thanks for talking to us a little bit about that. My next question is for Parisa. From your work, can you share with us how Afghan refugee families bring expertise and knowledge to partnering with schools and supporting their children's education?
Yeah, thanks. I think we all have heard this before and feel this, that parents are, the child's first teacher. So despite any linguistic or cultural backgrounds, that advocacy that a parent has for their child and that desire to want to be part of their education, I think still stands. I think our Afghan parents really have they have the kind of the upper of also now being able to act somewhat as like a cultural broker for schools and for families, and offer information that the schools will find helpful as well, about not only working with Afghans, but working with a more diverse and linguistically diverse population that they may be seeing within their schools as well.
Thanks, Parisa. Okay, and then my next question is for Parveen. What are some strategies that have helped you support Afghan refugee families with their children's education?
Yeah. I think one of the best and important strategy that we have in highest with them is our communication. We always communicate with them in their language, in Dari or Pashto. Like maybe sometimes they feel, okay, I don't know about this. Maybe sometimes they shy, maybe they just nervous. Should I ask this or no? They don't know the information or what's going on. We are always available to be contact with them. And also for more information, we have some events like before school start or during when they are coming new here. We have back to school event for them, some other workshops. And also the most important and that they have challenge or we thought it's good for them is also, I would mention again, Afghan parent course that we have for them.
Thank you, Parveen. Okay, so my next question is for both of you. So whoever wants to go ahead and answer first, and it's also sort of a two-part question. What are some common challenges that the Afghan refugee families you work with encounter when trying to be engaged in their child's education? And how have you helped Afghan refugee families and educators address these challenges?
I can start. I think the concept of family engagement in general may not be a transferable context, or a concept that is able to be translated both, again, linguistically and culturally. So I think we have found that in the Afghan culture, and as Sakina and Elham have also talked about, the two education systems are very different. So I think a challenge that we've seen pretty often is a disconnect between parent and school, and a school may perceive a parent's lack of engagement as not being interested or not wanting to be part of their child's education, where the parent may be perceiving that as like providing respect and not questioning the teacher and what they are saying and offering about their child. So I think just that general, again, going back to that cultural broker piece, offering as much context and information about the two education systems and where there is significant contrast is definitely we've had a lot of conversations with both school and family about what they may see that will look different for them.
And yeah, and I would add also, they are really new here. Everything is, different. Their lifestyle, education system, everything is different for them. They are like confused what is good here. Okay, there is a lot of different culture in US, and there was a lot of different culture in our country. So maybe there is some judgment about some culture in US. So we gave them all information, the truth information about everything for them. And then they can think about that, and we saw they start to search about that, and then they can, figure out, okay, this culture is good. We can add in our lifestyle. It makes, help us to continue and we can make good life for future in here, and also like more peace for family or our kids we can talk about, especially during the Afghan parent course. There is a meeting between the family, mom and dad gonna talk with kids, everything that's going on in school, in their life, like partnership, they share everything together. So I think this is another way they can learn a lot. And yeah, and there was another challenge that sometimes the parents, are not able to read or write. That's why they thinking maybe shy, oh, I cannot do that. Maybe I could be silent. And also sometimes they thinking, okay, it's very far than me as a mom. I have to know about my kids' education, school, or what's going on. They have very concern, but if they don't have information, they cannot do anything. But it's more stress for them. So yeah, everything is like depend the information that we could transfer to them, and then they can find their way and could continue and make a peaceful life for themselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Parveen. Thanks, Parisa. Okay, and my final question is for Parisa. How can highest PA support schools trying to improve their engagement with Afghan refugee families?
Yeah, so when we first started receiving a pretty large influx of refugees in 2021 and 2022, we partnered with a lot of our local schools through the Philadelphia School District to offer PDs and offer webinars like this to really put all the information out there of what we're also learning in real time as well. So we're learning about what the cultural background is and what the education system is and what the different languages that make up the country and what mental health needs are. We're learning all of that at the same time that our schools and our partners are. So I think engaging in conversation and transferring the knowledge that maybe schools are seeing in the classroom and what we're seeing on the parent side or on the resettlement side allows for just a lot more information to be spread and to be shared. And I would encourage everyone to connect with representatives from any local agencies that they may be close to, or any community-based organizations that serve multilingual or any sort of immigrant or refugee population, even if not a resettlement agency, just to engage in conversation in the way that we do with parents to learn more about them. I think agencies and community-based organizations and schools can also continue to facilitate those conversations as well.
Thanks, Parisa. Thank you, Parveen. Okay, great. Well, now I think we're going to open things up to audience Q&A again. So again, feel free to come off mute if you feel comfortable. If not, go ahead and just put your questions for highest PA in the chat, and we'll take a few minutes here and try to read them out before we move on to the next thing. Okay, I see one in the chat. In addition to supporting academically, is there anything teachers can do to support the big cultural transition? So Parisa or Parveen, I don't know if either one of you want to go ahead and take that.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think it's tricky because also some parents may feel differently about their culture and may hold a certain resentment about why they're here, and engaging in conversations about their culture may be a triggering conversation. So I think giving families the autonomy a little bit to lead conversations, practicing just a lot of patience and being open-minded. And to Parveen's point about our Afghan parent course, we talk a lot about parent-teacher conferences and what are the kinds of questions that you should ask your child's teacher during parent-teacher conferences. And I think it's rare that family, staff, and our teachers and parents have one-on-one time because everyone is always so busy. So we really encourage during those meetings for families to share how they're feeling, what questions they have. And I think that also gives the teachers an opportunity to engage in the same conversation and have their own questions. So I think clearly from Sakine and Elham's, what they shared, there's a lot of appreciation for how much effort teachers are putting in all school staff into getting to know the family and getting to know what they're interested in, what they're not interested in. So I think just the cultural humility and open-mindedness and engaging in those conversations while the parent maybe leads them is a great idea.
And Parveen, I don't know if you have anything you want to add, or if not, I can move on to the next question.
I accept Parisa was said.
Okay, cool. Let's see. What are some ways you help family members who are not in school feel included in the community and adjusted to life in a new place?
Another very good question. So Parveen and I work specifically on the education team at Highest Pennsylvania. So we are solely connecting people to schools and education services. But for parents, that may look like finding community ESL classes or finding some sort of religious institute that they align with, that maybe they can meet like-minded community members. It's really helping them become acquainted with their new physical community as well as other populations that they may be living close to. Philadelphia is a very diverse city. So we have Afghans, we have Burmese clients, we have Congolese clients who are all within the same vicinity. So culturally, they're not in the same community, but it just shows what a melting pot Philadelphia is in particular. So connecting our families to any sort of community events, ESL classes are our big one, but events at the library, anything that is easily accessible to them, keeping in mind that transportation is often a challenge, any neighborhood events that would allow them to continue to connect to their new neighbors.
And also I would add one of idea that I had a parent in Afghan parent course that he was saying, I see school in US as a huge university when our child is there. Like there is a lot of other people from different countries. My child can learn everything about other countries, and also it's also helpful just if parent could be involved more with it, like more connect with school would be great. Like if there is any event, school can, ask the parents also to join or join with their kids in that event. Like Sakina was mentioning last week that there is a breakfast in school. They invite the parent also. The parent can, see the other parents and other kids and her kids. It's very good way for them.
Great, thank you. And then it looks like we have one in the chat. How could we approach families about concerns with childhood trauma? Is therapy something that is accepted?
Yeah, mental health and therapy are conversations that we also have trouble navigating because they are so personal to each family. I think in schools and in the students that we see, there's a lot of active listening, there's a lot of reflective listening, and if a child does share something with you that raises a flag internally or maybe concerns you, again, I think bringing it to the parent and providing them that autonomy to make the decision of what they want to do with that information. It may not be truthfully a decision that you agree with or that you think is what they should do. But in order to create a safe and consistent relationship between family and school, I think allowing them to take the lead on that conversation. But we talk a lot about trauma-informed care at Highest Pennsylvania and what that looks like. And again, a lot of active listening, a lot of assignments or kind of activities that we allow the kids to do their own reflecting without even really knowing. So asking them to draw a picture of how they're feeling and having them really try to connect with their feelings, maybe not verbally. And that also were pinpoints to us of maybe who is someone that we want to flag for services. So therapy is definitely not out of the picture. We have plenty of families who have been interested in mental health services, but it is a conversation that is very dependent on the person's personal beliefs, religious belief, cultural belief, but not off the table by any means.
And in generally, I would say, when the child see everything like new or learning more every day in school, with their friends, like teacher or other staff in school, it might take time, but it's not impossible. It's like, look, every day, every, time they can put new things in their mind, in their heart. That's why, they can slowly forget, or at least they can find, okay, if that's happened, it's okay. It's on the past, but now I have this thing. I can be okay. Takes time, but it's not impossible. Different ways like might be worse for them, and I'm sure teacher or other staffs in the school are always care about them, their students. They might know better, at least if when they are talking together, they can receive some good energy or something good to put instead of that things that happened for them in the past.
Great. Thank you both. And thank you for everyone in the audience for the great questions and some really robust discussion. I think we'll now go ahead and pop the slides back up, and I can turn the mic to Parisa and Parveen so that they can speak a little bit more about their work and more specific recommendations for working with Afghan refugee students and their families. So give us a few seconds to get that slide pulled up, and then we'll hand the mic over.
Thanks, Cassidy. Yeah, I wanted to just quickly wrap up with some tips and recommendations that we have found has worked well within our organization and the schools that we work with. And I don't think any of these will surprise any of you, and I'm sure you're practicing them already. Patience is not surprisingly a really big one. I think there's a lot of frustration on both ends that can occur when there is a language barrier, when there is a cultural barrier, when there are just different various kinds of barriers. So practicing patience and understanding that on both sides you're having trouble understanding each other, and maybe just need to find another way to communicate. And then being cognizant of cultural differences, again, one that I'm sure that everyone is doing, but I think culturally also there are very different parenting styles generally between Afghanistan and the US from what our families have shared with us. And we have a lot of conversations with our families about certain behaviors or acts that may be perceived a certain way if they're doing them in a school setting or where there are mandated reporters. So there's a lot of really honest conversations about what is considered harmful to your child, in a way that our families may not have considered before. So understanding that it's a learning process for everyone, and that the parenting styles are learning to adjust in this new setting. And really just being an advocate for your parents and for your children, your students, and continuing to encourage families to be part of different events and come to back to school nights or parent teacher conferences. And the view of education isn't always what Sakina and Elham shared, of really wanting that or really desiring that second higher education for their child. So there are plenty of communities within Afghanistan who education is not valued. It's not something that they are aiming for. So I think having conversations with families about why it's important to engage in school and come to school, and also engage in after school activities and what that does socially for the children, is always a great idea. And finally, just being aware of student disabilities and the evaluation process. This came from a specific incident of a teacher noticing some behavioral delays in one of the students, and the parent and the whole IEP process, eval process was being talked about, and the parent was just really unfamiliar with all of that and the language around that, and also in this particular situation, felt a little not insulted, but was confused why the teacher was talking so openly about their child and their experience. So really just cognizant is the word that sums all of it up, is just understanding and cognizant of the differences between our Afghan friends and all of us as their educators. And finally, this is my email and Parveen's email. So again, we are at Highest Pennsylvania, a refugee resettlement agency based in Philadelphia. And thank you all so much for having us.
Thank you, Parisa, and thank you, Parveen. This will be our last activity before we wrap up. So I'm going to go ahead and put a Jamboard link in the chat for us. If you were here last week, this will be familiar to you, this activity. If you could go ahead and enter the Jamboard. Ooh, okay, there we go. So there's a picture too. We want to pause for a moment and just have a moment to reflect and think about what you plan to do differently as a result of what you learned today. So please take a moment right now, or go ahead and just bookmark the link for later, to add your own thought to the Jamboard, or you can go ahead and do it in the chat as well. Again, just want to keep in mind that your idea could be the spark that helps someone else think about something that might be possible in their own community or school. So nothing is too big or too small. And I again, just want to thank you for sharing your thoughts and time with us today. Next slide. Here you can go ahead and learn a little bit more about child trends. If you'd like to scan the QR code, you can also find Yosemary and my information above. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, do feel free to reach out. And next slide. And here we have our information for our final session next week, which is crazy. I can't believe this is already going to be the last session, but just want to say thank you, everyone, for your thoughts that you've shared with us today. Especially just want to thank Sakina and Elham, our parent experts, Karima, our interpreter, and Parisa and Parveen, our co-facilitators at Highest PA. And of course, the Center for Schools and Communities for hosting us. Please don't hesitate to reach out to any of us with questions, concerns, or thoughts. Thank you again for your time today. We can give you a few minutes back. Just want to wish you all a good rest of your day and hope to see you at our final session next week on Valentine's Day. So thank you all.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. The link for the session evaluation and Act 48 application is in the chat for you. If you were unable to snag it, or you know a colleague who wasn't, you can contact me and I can send it out to you. Thank you all.